What's going on, people? Jada Black here. I am back with another video. I want to talk about this UK rapper by the name of M.I.A. For those of you who remember her, about 10 years ago, she had a very big song called Paper Planes. It was even remixed by Jay-Z, Kanye West, and T.I. They even performed at the Grammys. And she performed the song with them while she was pregnant. Okay? Now, she signed to his management company, okay? And I guess some things happened to where her career just completely fell off. Like, she was a big deal because of her song, but then she was sort of forgotten about. She signed to Jay-Z's management company and then didn't really hear much from her again. Now, especially I know when you're a UK artist, it's hard to keep the attention of like an American audience unless you're constantly putting out music that is charting, who is topping the charts, so to speak. But haven't really heard from her until recently. I guess she was then doing an interview with this, that, and the third, and she basically spoke about why her career stalled. And she's saying it's because Jay-Z told her to sign an agreement with the NFL because apparently she was performing at the Super Bowl and she put the middle finger up while performing, which is a very stupid thing to do. And the NFL sued her for that. And they offered her an agreement to where if she would have to basically sign over 100% of all her earnings if she earned more than $2 million, which is absolutely ridiculous. But maybe, I don't know, I guess they have more leverage. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, that's worse than these record deals that these artists have been signing. Okay, 360 deals. But they offered her that deal because of what she did, putting up her middle finger. And apparently Jay-Z told her to sign the agreement. She refused, and that's where her career pretty much went down the drain. Now, I would honestly say her career went down the drain when she wasn't able to follow up Paper Planes. When you basically become a one-hit wonder, you can't start pointing the finger, no pun intended, at people. You know, it's easy to point the finger at Jay because he was your manager at the time. But you have to look at it as this. You had a hot song, okay? A very hot song, but after that you weren't able to really have any type of momentum after that. The momentum came and went, so you look at it, and she's performing at the Super Bowl with Madonna and I believe Nicki Minaj. I think all of them were performing on stage. See, there's a couple of articles on this, but this is the article from what is it, NME. I'll put the link in the description box. So the musician said the lawsuit would have meant signing away all future earnings over $2 million. M.I.A. has spoken about the legal battle with the NFL following her controversial appearance with Madonna at the Super Bowl in 2012. During the halftime show performance, M.I.A. made a cameo on Give Me All Your Lovin', during which she stuck her middle finger at the camera. A month later, the NFL filed a $1.5 million arbitration claim against her, claiming it was a breach of contract and tarnished the organization's goodwill and reputation. Oh, you gotta look at that fine print from the NFL. In March of 2014, they reportedly added another $15 million to the claims. Oh my God. You talk about being petty. I'm pretty sure at that particular moment the NFL didn't have some of the issues it has now, so maybe they had that amount of time on their hands. Speaking to Hook, the musician said the lawsuit activated so many people to come after me on so many different levels, and that in terms of racism and sexism, of course, I got to put that in there. The situation showed the cracks in everyone I knew. I was at Roc Nation at the time and Jay-Z was managing me, she said. The lawsuit was so ridiculous, it proposed that they would keep 100% of my earnings for the rest of my life if I ever earned more than $2 million. Now that's absolutely ridiculous from the NFL. That is absolutely ridiculous. But I don't think the NFL is doing shit like that now. With all the issues that they have and the fact that, you know, the labor issues that they've had, the fact that you have this protest that have been going on, the fact that they're paying off these players to not protest. Oh boy. Jay-Z was like, you should sign that shit. I was like, no. She continued, a middle finger. It's like, get a effing grip. People are like, oh, you're lucky you're not in jail. Give up all your profit. Be the slave for the rest of your life. Now, I don't get this whole you make more than $2 million. It's almost like when you file bankruptcy and you have to spend a certain amount while you're in bankruptcy, you know what I'm saying, until you paid off all your creditors. That's what this seems like. It's like the Mike Vick situation. Mike Vick could only spend a certain amount of money because he had to pay his creditors, because he didn't want them to either get more money or to resue him. I don't know. In August of 2014, it was reported that M.I.A. had settled with the NFL. No details on the terms of the settlement were released by either party. The Federal Communications Commission received a total of 222 complaints about the Super Bowl broadcast in 2012. Afterwards, the NFL and the broadcaster NBC apologized, with the former writing in a statement, the obscene gesture in the performance was completely inappropriate, very disappointing, and we apologize to our fans, because of course they care about the fans. I don't know if this was a result of what happened with Janet and Justin Timberlake in the Super Bowl, but this seems to me, it seems very petty to me by the NFL. But again, at that particular time, they didn't have much going on. It didn't have the issues that they have now, socially. Now, Jay-Z is outspoken about the NFL and his support of Colin Kaepernick, but he was like, you know what, even though you're my artist, sign over your money. Yep, that's Jay-Z, the activist. But again, like I said, you know, then there was nothing to be an activist about, I guess, you know. But his own artist, he didn't even have her back, you know. But I will say this, though. I will say this. It's not Jay-Z's fault that she pointed the middle finger in the air. It was not Jay-Z's fault. She made that decision to do that on her own. So she has to own up to that particular situation. She has to own up to the fact that she decided to do that. That had nothing to do with Jay-Z. Had everything to do with her wanting to make a splash, her wanting to get headlines, because she was only making a cameo appearance in that particular performance. But for her to do that she wanted to make it more about her, and she made it more about her to the tune of, you know, your career basically, basically being a fail, and the NFL suing you. And now you're pointing the finger at Jay-Z, but you're not pointing the finger at yourself and saying, why did I do that? Nowhere in this article did I see anything about her saying, you know what, I shouldn't have done that. It's all about, well, these people didn't have my back. You wanted to be controversial, M.I.A. You wanted to be a controversial rapper from Sri Lanka. Okay? But you wanted to be controversial. You wanted to get headlines, and you got exactly what you were asking for, to the tune of having to pay off the NFL. Okay? And what was so ironic about this whole situation is that she was there to perform for them. And I believe for free, because they don't, from what I understand, they don't pay artists to do that. But what they do is, what the Super Bowl does, though, it helps you streaming wise. It helps your streaming numbers. It helps merchandising. It helps to promote your brand, your music. That's what they gain out of that. They really don't get paid to do it. I know they get a ton of probably sponsorships, you know what I'm saying, from that. But I think M.I.A. has to look at the fact that Jay-Z at the time was just being a businessman. Jay-Z is a businessman first off. He's a businessman, okay? And he was thinking business because he still wanted you. He still probably said, she could still, go and make music and this and that. Maybe he didn't believe you can make more than $2 million, in earnings a year. Maybe he felt like you can make close to that, but not that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you felt like you had a ceiling, and you actually did, because she's released music since then and it has not caught on. People didn't even really care about the lawsuit. The lawsuit wasn't even that big of a deal. I think people even forgot about it. But her music career is probably the most forgotten about thing in this entire situation. The fact that people don't want to hear her music anymore. Now, maybe she's changed genres. Maybe she's not doing the same music, but she had one song that went very far, and nothing else that she has done ever since has gotten anywhere close to it. And that has nothing to really do with you putting the middle finger in the air. But I will say this though, and Jay-Z probably could have done things better as a manager, but he himself at that particular time was kind of green when it came to being a manager. Maybe he's different, but he signed a lot of good talented people who've ended up leaving Roc Nation, because he wasn't ready to be a manager. He's not a manager, But again, M.I.A, you gotta look yourself in the mirror and you gotta look at why your career is where it is, and you cannot put that on Jay. I'm sorry, but y'all can let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts.